Welcome everyone to another Naval Action Basics video. In this video, we're going to be talking about something probably on your mind if you played a few games. How do I craft a better ship? Now, one way to get another ship than one you have is either buying it or stealing it, taking it by force. But as you progress, you'll get money and the knowledge to actually start crafting ships. Most people actually want to get into a position to be slightly self-sufficient where they can build their own ships so they don't have to spend all their money buying new ships. So today we're going to talk about crafting, we're going to talk about upgrades crafting, ship crafting, item crafting. We're also going to talk about some of the farms and other buildings that are available to you in the game as you progress. The previous video covered just the upgrades and how you use them on your ship, but today I'm going to show you how to actually make some of these upgrades. We have a tab in the bottom with the hotkey C, which is the buildings and crafting menu. Manage your productions and outposts, and here you have a full list of all the buildings I have. You can see at the bottom here I have 10 out of 10 buildings, and you can see I have these 4: shipyard, my forge, my workshop, my academy. In Santo Domingo, this is my primary shipyard port. Then I have a live oak forest, a white oak forest, coal mine, iron mine, teak, and a farm. These are spread out into some of the other ports I have. Now, as a player in Naval Action, you'll never be 100% self-sufficient. You cannot produce each and every item to fully craft the ship, but you will rely on either trading, looting, or cooperation with others, preferably a clan, to be able to efficiently craft ships. Now, what are our options here? My shipyard obviously is where I build my ships. The forge is where I build my cannons. Workshop is for upgrades of any hard item upgrade, like a set of sails or hull upgrades or anything that's physical. The academy is used to make any upgrade that is person, like better borders, a gunnery sergeant, or some of the better books in the game. The rest is simply farms. The live oak forest, the white oak, the coal, the iron mine, teak, and farm is simply just a building. First up, let's cover the basic farms. If we hop over to my farm is in Barney, so if you hop over to Barney, which is my main resource port. As you'll see now, these are the 4 farms I can interact with, and the others are grayed out. You can only access your crafting and farming buildings in the specific port they are. With the farm, I have a few options. This is already built, but for your sake, I'll simply go in and destroy the farm. Now you'll see I have 9 out of 10 available, and the build option is down blue. How many you have available depends on your DLC. I can have a few more buildings. The base level is 5, I can have 10. And it is also depending on how much money you actually have, because you won't have as many buildings in the beginning because they cost a lot. So if I press build, it will give me an option to select what to build in this port. Some of them are specific to a port. Not all ports can have stone mines, for example. Not all ports can have a sugar plantation. To find out what you can actually build in a port, go to your top left corner, click the arrow down, and it will give you a description of the port. So off the bat, all that is produced in Barney is actually sugar. However, this is a clan port. It has been upgraded. It will not show what clan upgrades there are in the port, it will only show the generic basic ones from the game. It means that I can press the build and I can build the sugar plantation. There's a few other options because we upgraded it, and I'll rebuild my farm here. Hovering over all of the options you have of buildings will tell you what it costs to build and what each level of the building actually produces. So if you look at it, building this farm cost me for level 1 25,000 reals, and at level 1 per day, and that's physical per day, not in-game days but real world days, so 24 hours, it will produce 200 provisions. At level 2 it will produce 500 provisions a day, but at level 3 it will produce 2,000. So there's a major increase from level 1 to level 3. Let's build a level 1 farm. Click on it. Are you sure you want to build a farm? Yes, I am. And I now have a level 1 farm. You'll see the level here, what it is and where it is. So if I click it again, up comes the building menu in your buildings and crafting menu. Over here you'll see what it is, how much it has produced. It's gone like 30 seconds to build it, so it hasn't produced anything. If I come back after 24 hours, it will have produced that set amount depending on its level, and I can extract that. It'll also tell you what the output is. And remember before, when we hovered over it, it said it was 200, but because of an increase to the port, it's a clan upgrade, it's actually producing 50% more. So each 24 hours, this farm produces me 300 resources. It also tells you how much it can actually store. It can store 400 provisions. So as soon as it has produced 400 provisions that I haven't claimed, it will stop producing. That's not too good, so let's upgrade it. Next upgrade produces 750 provisions per day. Your storage size is now increased to 1,000, and it gives us 10% labor discount. Or a labor discount. We'll get back to that. Requirements, 50,000 reals to build. Confirm that. And I'll see it's a level 2 farm. Let's change to 750 and storage is 1,000. Let's upgrade it all the way up. It now produces 3,000 provisions per day. It can store 4,000 and gives us 20% labor discount. It costs us 100,000 reals to build. The farm is one of the cheaper buildings to actually build in the game. Now, over time, it will produce provisions up to an amount of 4,000. But what to do with it? Now, let's go into my iron mine. My iron mine has been ticking away for a few days. I can see here my iron mines. Every day it produces 5,250 units of iron ore. It has a storage 7,000 and it has produced 7,000 and it has stopped. So to access this, I need to press the collect button. Brings up this menu. I'll tell you how many resources you can actually extract from what building you're extracting and the requirements taken. Now, to extract anything from a farm, it's going to cost you reals, but it's also going to cost you labor hours. What on earth are labor hours, you're thinking? I'll show you in a second. Let's try and extract 100. I'll see it will cost me 6,200 reals to extract 100 iron ore. Once you extract something, it's going to be put into your warehouse. Just close it for a second. Go into my warehouse, you'll see that I have almost 13,000. Go back in. Collect 1,000. Up to 62,000. And takes 481 out of my 2,575 labor hours. I can also just press max and it'll just pull out as many items as I can. And usually it's going to be the labor hours that's going to hold you back. Let's go back to 1,000. Collect. We've collected 1,000 iron ore, and these are now put into my warehouse. You'll see it's gone up by 1,000. And that is simply how to use your farms. You'll accumulate resources over time. You see, just before I did this video, I emptied out my white oak forest. Since then, it's produced 33 white oak logs. It will produce 1,200 in 24 hours, and it can store 1,600. These are the basic ones. That is basic farms. Let's go back and talk about ship crafting and item crafting and upgrade crafting, and let's explain what the labor hours actually are. Quick sip of the gin. Cheers, everyone. Now, once again, open up my buildings and crafting menu. To build and craft certain things, you may need a certain crafting level. I've been playing this game quite a bit. I've reached the max level of crafting, that is level 7. As you begin the game, you start at level 0. For each level you get in the game, you'll generate a certain amount of what's called labor hours. Labor hours is another resource you need in the game. Labor hours are used as a resource when you produce anything. If you're using raw materials from a farm, if you're building ships, if you're building upgrades, basically it's another resource. It replenishes over time at a different rate depending on what port you're in, what perks you have, and etc. Up to a maximum, for me, at 3,000. When I spend some, over time they'll regenerate. Basically, it fills up from 0 to full over 24 hours. So you can't just craft away to your heart's content. Another way to gain labor hours is actually for storing them later. You can get what's called a labor contract, and it's worth 500 labor hours. Note, these can be very expensive to buy, and it's better off just to take your time and save up the labor hours and the resources to craft the items you need. Now, going back, let's go into the workshop. Workshop is probably going to be one of the first crafting buildings you're going to get. As you get the workshop, there's basically 3 things you can do, and sorted by type. That is building rum, rig repairs, and hull repairs. These are the 3 items you're going to start with until you find blueprints out in the open world or buy them. So get a workshop, you can keep yourself sustained with the repairs. Now, something as simple as a rum, click on it. Rum takes sugar to build, and then you can use it to heal your crew. As you can see, I have no sugar available in my warehouse or on my ship in this port. But for each rum I want to build, it's going to cost 1 labor hour, 1 sugar to produce 1 rum. Hull repairs is another difference. It takes 2 oak logs, 1 iron ore, 1 coal to produce a hull repair. It means to be self-sufficient with hull repairs, you need to have a workshop, you need an oak plantation, you need an iron ore mine, and you need a coal mine as well. That's just to produce hull repairs. Simply have the items needed in your warehouse or on your ship. Enter the number you want to create. You'll see again, just like before, how many hours it's going to cost you, how many labor hours it's going to take you, and what the quantity is. Craft it. I'll say, you crafted 100 hull repairs, and these are now put into our warehouse. I already have a few, so you won't notice it. Over time, you'll find these out in the open world with this item. It can be blueprints or something else. These are for a special type of building called the seasoning shed, which gives us the seasoned wood. You can also go into the Admiralty. Windows here makes it a bit easier to see. Under blueprints, you can actually buy blueprints of upgrades you can later produce. Going back to the video before, you remember the Almeria gunpowder. We can buy a node for 500 doubloons that allows us to craft Almeria gunpowder in our workshop. It will tell you what it is, what it does, what's needed to craft it, and what the item then provides as a bonus. There's several in here you can buy to upgrade, like British Gunnery Sergeant. This, however, is one of those that is needed to be used in your academy. And it says on the requirement you need academy level 1 for this one. So just be mindful of what you buy, when you buy them, and why you buy them. Some things like copper plating or the caulking refit uses very specific items that can be hard to get a hold of. Like copper plating needs copper ingots, and it needs 100 just to craft one upgrade. The copper ingots can be actually quite hard to get a hold of in game. You'll need to trade specific places at the right times to get these items, so don't just go crazy and buy each and every blueprint you can find. Be specific and increase your amount of blueprints over time. Going back, if I go into my academy here, I know I showed you a few of these in the previous video, but if I want to create a French Gunnery Sergeant, it'll tell me what I need. I need this book. Again, it's French, I'm not gonna try it, say it. I need these items, and I need this amount of doubloons. Click on it, I'll craft one you can then use on a ship. Fair enough, we covered labor hours, basic of how to get your building, how to build them. But how do I increase my crafting level? Only apparently one way to increase your crafting level. That is to get a shipyard and to build a ship. So let's look at how to build a ship. Pressing a shipyard, pressing craft, it'll bring up a list of each and every known blueprint depending on your level of shipyard. I have a level 3 shipyard, which is the biggest one, so I can build basically any ship in the game, provided I have the permit and the materials. As you stand out, a level 1 shipyard will have a reduced amount of ships you can build, level 2 will get bigger, and level 3 will unlock each and every ship in the game. If we take something like a trader brick, this is the menu to create a trader brick. You need a set amount of items to build that ship. Trader brick is fairly cheap. You need some oak, some fir, some hemp, some iron ore, some lignum, some stone blocks, some coal, bit of money, bit of provisions. And you'll see over here it requires crafting level 0, which is what you begin with. Requires a shipyard of a minimum of level 1, which is the first level of shipyard, and 63 labor hours. But you have this drop down menu too. You can, when you build a ship, decide what kind of wood you want to build it of. Now, there are several different types of woods in the game, and each have its own characteristics. Some are flexible and made for speed, some are harder and denser, better used for armor, but not as slow because they're heavier, or not as fast because they're heavier. And you need to learn the game a bit to see the differences. I'll be covering how to best build ships in a later video, when we're gonna cover one of the best web pages that are out there. So I'm not going to go in too deep, but I'm going to show you the options you have. For building this trader brick, there's a list of framing that we can select from, and depending on what kind of frame you select, characteristics of the ship will change slightly. And you can also select what kind of planking you want to put on your ship, will also change the characteristics. Basically, frame is the central structure and your speed, planking will be your armor. It's roughly said. But I can't see it. How do I know what kind of ship I want to build? How do I know what kind of wood to actually select. If you hover over the icon of your ship, it'll actually bring up the info menu of that ship, just as if you were in your fleet menu. So just hover over the icon of your ship, and it'll tell you the stats based on the basic ships without any port upgrades and the wood selected. So you'll see there's a lot of negatives to the hit points and the thicknesses, but a lot of positives to the speed of the ship, because we've selected fur and crew space. If I were to change into something like teak and white oak, I would never build a trade brig out of teak and white oak, but enough just for examples. You'll now see we get a slight bonus to the speed, not as much as before, but a slight one. But all our hit points and thicknesses have now increased, means this ship is not as fast as the other one, but it can take a bit more damage, and it will take it a bit longer to sink. Note that when you hover over a ship, it will always show as a standard ship. You'll see the top bar is blue. It will always show that it has 0 out of 3 permanent upgrades and no port bonuses. However, if I were to build the ship now, we might actually get, if we're unlucky, a ship that's green. That will only have 2 out of 5 permanent upgrade slots. Or we might get lucky, get a purple or even a golden one, which is a better quality ship, which will have more permanent upgrade slots and a few more built-in perks. Also, if you're building in a port that has port bonuses, they will be added afterwards. We'll be covering more about all these bonuses and perks later on, when we're going to cover one of the best knowledge resources that are out for this game. Later video on that. So if I press craft, do you want to craft a trade brig? Yes, I do. And it will show you how it came out in the end. To show you all the pros and pluses and minuses to all the stats. We got a blue standard trade brig, 3 out of 5. It has now put on all the port bonuses, because I'm building in Santo Domingo, which is my clan's port, and we have it upgraded. And also set in the bottom who actually built the ship. Yay, me. That's my in-game name if you want to look me up. And the ship has now been added to my list of ships. Need to find it. Not that one. That one. That's the ship we just built. I have 3 slots available. Go back to the video from before. I can now equip it. Upgrades. I have no knowledge slots on it. I can put guns on it. I can put new paint on it if I have that DLC. And I can sail around in this trade brig. That's basically how all your crafting works. Get to know each and every one of the different farms by hovering over them, and before you build them, read what they do, talk to your nation, talk to your clansmen if you're in a clan, of what best to build. The first thing you'll do as a new player starting out to build anything is a workshop. Get the workshop and get your repairs and rum going as a first step to learning how to craft in the game. Later on, get a level 1 shipyard and then start producing ships. Find a simple ship like the trade brig we just did. You'll see here it'll give you 49 craft XP. Only ships will give you craft XP. The more ships you build of a certain type, the higher your crafting XP will be. You'll increase your crafting level, thereby the amount of labor hours you can have and what type of ships you can actually build. So the way to increase your crafting level is by building ships. Now this takes resources, this takes money, and for labor hours, and in the end it takes time. Naval Action, as you probably know by now, is not a fast-paced game. It takes weeks and months to build up to a level where you can actually have a level 3 shipyard. Be patient, you're not going to be building big line ships within the first month of your game, probably. Not unless you grind really, really hard. That's the basics of each and every of these buildings. Last one I'm just going to show you is the forge. Forge is used to build guns. You can build all the guns that are in the game of the basic types. You can build medium guns, you can build carronage, you can build long guns and mortars, but you cannot craft stuff like navy guns or the Congreves, blown fields, and or the other special guns. They can only be found as part of loot or bought from other players that found them out in the open world. The workshop and the forge are good ways to actually support your clan in the beginning. Crafting guns takes iron and it takes coal. Crafting repairs takes oak, iron, and coal, or rum, which basically just takes sugar. And each player in the game will constantly need repairs and rum. If you want to help out as a low-level player, get a workshop or a forge going and support your clan that way. Once again, you can build as a standard account without the DLC. You can have 5 buildings. Hover over them, you'll see what they cost and how much they can produce for each level, and yada yada. Build it up over time. For low level to mid level players, do not worry yourself about the academy. Leave the academy for the high level players. They have the money, they have the knowledge to use it properly. Simply just stick with the workshop and the forge in the beginning. Get a level 1 shipyard if you want to be a shipbuilder in the end. Slowly build up your knowledge of crafting, and make sure if you're in a clan, have 1 or 2 main resource buildings just to simply supply your clan with the materials needed for running a clan, getting new ships, new upgrades for everyone. So labor hours is a resource that will generate over time. Your mines will produce over time, and you can only have them produce as much as your storage base is, so remember to empty them out frequently. And the main buildings are the shipyard, the forge, the workshop, and the academy. Hope you learned a bit. Just talked about crafting and how it's done. In a later video, we're going to be covering one of the best knowledge resources out the game there is, which is a specific web page, which is going to help you with your trading, your shipbuilding, your crafting, and etc. At that point, we're going to go a bit more in depth about how to build ships more optimal, how to figure out what upgrades you can put on, and how to tweak the ships to your preferences. But for now, this is just basics of crafting and buildings in Naval Action. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.